Greetings, fellow Gothamites. Blue Dragon 5 here, hosting a very special theme debate, very near and dear to my heart. Welcome to Batman Debates, the animated series edition. Our celebration of Batman the Animated Series 30th anniversary, not just because it's beloved by many, but also because it's one of the most important entries in the tomes of animation history for throwing down the gauntlet and raising the bar. So with that said, tonight's bat topics are the following: best episode of Batman the Animated Series, who's the best villain besides the Mark Hamill's Joker from, you guessed it, Batman the Animated Series, and best scene from Mask of the Phantasm. All right, kids. Bat signal's lit, which means it's time to enter the old grandfather clock, head down the stairs, suit up, drive off in an Art Deco looking Batmobile, and chase some bank robbers into the arena! In this corner, a guy who knows Arkham like the back of his hand, mainly because he spent a week there, very famously. Beware the superstitious and cowardly lot because he may be Canadian, but he's not wearing hockey pads this time. It's Lazerdude!
So it was me. I killed Captain Clown.
Oh,
Hey.
man.
And in the opposing corner, an animation aficionado who's actually interviewed the talents behind Batman the Animated Series and even uncovered, speaking of Captain Clown, the lost Tim Curry Joker footage. The man, the myth, the legend of the Dark Knight himself, it's Phil Machi.
Good evening, all you peoples.
And joining me on the judges' bench, Jacob Gulliver and Rohit Dar.
Hello, hello.
And
Hello.
running the show behind the scenes, Jacob Weil and Tiki.
But Jim, it's lunch.
And it's a full house and it's full of jokers.
Yep.
No one gets out
Wild
alive.
cards.
That's the joke.
Is this the
Yeah.
first time we've had two people in the production, Duke?
Well, I'm not going to call it that, but sure.
I mean, it's like so we have so Dragon, Rohit, and Jacob Gulliver are the judges.
That is correct. All right, so how we doing? How we doing tonight, fellas?
Feeling good. Feeling good.
Yeah, doing good.
I'm going
Everyone
to Florida. Florida.
All right.
It's the name of a state.
I mean, if we're talking about Batman stuff, I mean, how bad of a night could it really be?
Yeah, celebrating the big 3-0. This is quite exciting.
Truly a momentous occasion that I kind of feel like was celebrated more last year than it was this year, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it is kind of odd. Anyway, so of course we're going to welcome our competitors here, and we'll welcome the folks that are joining us. You're going to be in for a fun night. Again, a lot of celebratory Batman stuff. We definitely have some people in the comments, so that's good to see. So let me reestablish the rules for those joining us, especially for our players, just so we're all on the same page on how this works. So we have 3 main round questions, and the way this works is you're going to reveal your pick, and then we're gonna go back and forth again to reveal your opening statements. You're gonna basically give your opening statement, say all the nice things about why you're right and why the other guy's wrong. Well, more so just why you're right. Then you're gonna get to the fight in which you say that guy's wrong, I'm right. You're gonna get aggressive about it. You're gonna fight it out. Bam, bam. Pow, zap, wham. You get it. With words, though, not fists. We're not covered legally for that right now. I mean, you can ask our attorney; he's present right now. We're not covered for that.
I can verify that what Blue Dragon said to be accurate.
Thank you. See, he's a very good lawyer. That's why he knows that. Of course, R2D2 here, as always. He's the bell. When he speaks, I don't want to hear anything else. Neither do the other judges. We don't want to hear anymore. We're going to deliberate. and we're gonna basically vote on who won the argument, who gets the point, and basically whoever we think deserves the point. Whoever gets 3 votes get. Sorry, the echo's throwing me off a little, guys. Sorry. So whoever gets the most votes will get the point for the round.
Basically, you have to get at least 2 out of 3 in order to win the point for each round.
Exactly. So at the end of 3 rounds, I will offer both competitors the fun optional feature of our merry game. In this case, our trusty bat coin. Now, the way the bat coin works, very simple, is again, I'll offer to both players at the end of the round. Lands heads, you guess what? You could win a point!
Ooh.
But if it lands tails, you could lose a point, so that's the risk. So again, that's optional.
Wah, wah,
You don't
wah,
have-
wah.
Wah, wah, wah. You don't have to flip it, but if it lands tails, you could risk losing point. Lands heads, though, incentive, you win a point. And just to double the fun, hidden in one of our rounds, I don't know where, hidden in one of our rounds is a hidden coin straight from the trophy room of the Batcave, the Harvey Dent half dollar. Little HD, I like to call it.
I'm sorry, guys. Can we? I know you're trying. Can we deal with the echo? I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know who's doing it, but it's going to be a problem.
Well, I thought we checked mine, but I'll put on the other headphones just in case.
All right, I'm sorry, Lazerdude. And also, maybe when Dragon's talking, just everyone mute themselves, just so only his dialogue's coming through. Okay, sorry, guys.
Yeah, someone's liking that little guy in the chair seat right now, but I love it. He's taking charge. Okay.
All right, is the echo gone now?
Yes.
All right, let's
Okay,
see.
so it was me.
Okay, anyway, let's see. It's going to be the Harvey Dent half dollar, a little HD for you there. Of course, that will be, again, once it's discovered in a round, it'll be offered to the winner of the round it is discovered in. Same deals before. Lands heads, get a point. Lands tails. That's the risk you take. Could lose a point. I will warn both players, though, we have a new feature to our little game. The penalty. Well, some of you are familiar with this. Phil, I don't think you were here last time when we instituted this. I can't quite recall. We have a penalty phrase. Now, the way the penalty phrase works is could be a name, could be a phrase, like a line or something, like a saying, could be a place, could be any number of words. It could be more than one, could just be one, could not be there at all. I could be lying to you right now. You don't know. And only one person in this room, besides myself, knows what the penalty phrase is or isn't, and that's Jacob Weil.
I'm keeping a careful ear out for the word that may or may not exist.
In other words, no pun intended. We're gonna check in with him like he's the weather guy, and he's gonna tell us if a storm is coming.
Actually, this was around the last time I was here.
Oh,
Yeah.
good, cool.
All right. Well, what happened? Well, you know how it works then, but I'll give you a quick refresher. If you say the word or words anytime after the first round begins, it can even be in between rounds, you will suffer the penalty.
Yes, and Jacob will inform us like who said the word and everything, and then I'll reveal what the essentially will be a coin flip, and let's just say lands heads, something bad happens. Lands tails, something really bad happens. And trust me, guys, this time you really don't want it to land on tails.
I trust you.
Yeah, seriously. Phil, whatever happened. Listen to me, Phil. Don't let it land on tails.
It's actually not as bad as last time.
I feel like
I'm
at some
gonna
point
do my
Dragon's
absolute
going to affect somebody with a computer virus or something.
Jacob actually doesn't know what the penalty is, so yeah, tails.
Oh, God.
Tails isn't great. I'll tell you that much. It may not be as bad as last. It's really not good.
I mean, I did tell you to tone it down a bit.
I did, but it's still pretty bad.
If you land on tails, we're sending a hitman to your house.
Well, let's not give everyone.
For legal reasons, that is a joke.
Don't give Dragon any ideas, Jakey.
Yeah, let's just say henchmen aren't cheap. Okay.
You have to hire them from Mr. Hench.
Yep, a little henchco action going on there. So, anyways,
John
okay, so all
Hench, the leader of the henchmen.
Yes.
All right. So, of course, after the main round, we enter the speed round, in which there's a time limit. There's audience questions. Of course, folks, again, we will be taking audience questions for these speed rounds. I mean, if you want to leave them now, by all means, or if you want to leave them during the speed round, we will use them, and you get to judge who made the better argument. You get to, decide who gets the points. So that's kind of the fun we have there. So, again, we'll be taking audience questions later. Name of the game is first to 5 points wins. Do you fine gentlemen understand these rules as I've explained them to you both here this dark night?
I think if you explained it one more time. No, I'm just kidding. You're fine.
All right, let's.
Well, start. Let's
No. I think
go to greetings, fellow armchair
Why are we here
Imagineers. Like
Yes,
greetings.
I've delayed the show by 11 more minutes.
I am.
Like-
I am going to need verbal confirmation.
Only the true fans listening now.
Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers.
Oh God.
All right, boys. Do I get a yes here? You all good?
Yeah, we're
all
good.
set?
We're good. We're good.
Excellent. Cue the randomizer.
Oh shit! I forgot about the randomizer.
There goes my dramatic segue.
Yeah, Machi's going
Fire
first.
part act.
Oh man.
I mean, why?
All right.
My name's not even.
Oh shit! I'm sorry.
Well, we
It's
got
okay. I get it.
Hold on. Let's do it again, just to be fair. Hold on. Sorry.
No, that's fine. He can go first.
Well, if you want to be fair, you'll put some other names in there, like Joker.
He could have put my name in there.
Well, there have been times though when Jacob wasn't even playing and he actually got it in the right. He actually goes first because of the randomizer. It's the darndest thing.
Yeah. That's a gag we haven't heard in a while.
Did
Yeah.
you start spelling my name with an F? Because that's a really interesting scenario.
Yeah, like Phil for like a Philippines Phil Maki sort of thing.
No, Lazerdude's going first.
Oh yay!
All right.
All right. Thanks for calling that. Okay. Anyways.
Okay, round number 1.
Fight.
So the age-old question, as I'm sure many of you have heard before, there's so many great episodes to pick from with Batman the Animated Series. So many good ones, so many great ones. What is the best episode of Batman the Animated Series? Now, the stipulation with this was no, you can't use like a two-parter. Basically, you can't use both parts of a two-parter. So it could be any episode, could be from the new Batman Adventures, original animated series. They were all on the table. Just know, like, you can't use both parts of Demon's Quest, for example. You can't use both Two-Face episodes. So let's see what we landed on. Lazerdude, what was your episode, sir?
I chose the episode Heart of Ice that revitalized the Mr. Freeze character for all time.
All right. Okay, Phil.
I have chosen Feet of Clay, Part Dos.
Okay, play part 2. Lazerdude, rock us with an opening statement.
When it comes to the story of Mr. Freeze, Heart of Ice is where the character actually started. He was on the Batman Adam West show, of course. He was in comics before. But this is actually the real origin of the character. This is the story that gave him an origin. And after this episode, it changed comics forever. The story is telling of Mr. Freeze, a man who lost his wife in a tragic accident that also left him cold and emotionless. And now he just wants revenge on the man who took everything away from him. It's a very tragic episode, an episode where you find yourself sympathetic to the villain. The dialogue is also so sharp in this episode, almost like Shakespearean. Like the dialogue that Mr. Freeze says, like how he would kill to hold a cold, warm hand on a summer's day, is so beautifully. It's beautifully tragic, is what it is. It is a beautifully tragic, perfect episode, and that's why it's the best one of Batman the Animated Series.
Okay, Maki.
All right. Well, I have chosen Feet of Clay Part 2 because to me, this is one of the best acted episodes of the entire series, and has brought what was essentially an unknown villain into, I would say, a lot of the general public's forefront of their mind. You have a man, Matt Hagen, who's an actor. He just wants to continue his career, but he's aging, and he becomes obsessed with being able to maintain his looks. But this vanity gets him essentially turned into a monster, and so now he has the ability to look young, but it doesn't matter because he essentially can't keep it going for a long enough period of time, and his body reverts to a hideous blob. And over time, he unfortunately starts to literally deteriorate. So this character loses his life in front of him, his career, his all his like hopes for what he can do, and slowly starts to degrade. Which of course was his original fear, was aging. So he starts to age in a completely different way by literally falling apart, and it has one of the best death scenes. I mean, for one thing, it's a cartoon, but it has a huge death scene at the very end, which I would say is one of the most dramatic in all of the animated series.
All right, boys, fight it out.
I think
Punch.
the biggest thing is that I think this episode only draws the strength off of the previous episode. Like together, I just don't think it holds up on its own like an episode of Heart of Ice does.
Well, the great thing about
I mean,
Feet of Clay Part 2
Go
is
ahead.
you could not have seen Part 1. They have the little recap in the beginning, and I really do feel like while the episode Feet of Clay Part 1 is also a great episode, you really can skip to Part 2 because that's where all of the meat of the story truly is. And like I said, that ending where he essentially loses his well, he pretends to lose his mind and has this really dramatic death scene and appears to kill himself by electrocution, only to fool everybody at the end of the episode and actually have exited the building in a completely different form. To me, it's got this
yeah,
amazing.
but let's
twist.
be. I think the ending though is actually kind of confusing because if you think about it, like when is Matt Hagen starting to fake his death, and when is he actually losing the fight? You know, he
Which
starts
I would say is
controlling
why it's
randomly
why
out of control, and then he's like, "Oh, I faked it." So if he was faking it, why didn't he just kill Batman and then kill Daggett?
I mean, he's an actor, and this is why it's such a great episode. Because at the end of Feet of Clay Part 2, you're left with this giant question mark of what's going to happen next. But whereas Heart of Ice, you're left with him in Arkham, and that's kind of, it feels like that's the end of the story. So to me, Feet of Clay Part 2 is like, wow, this is this amazing climax, and you're going to see more of Clayface in the future.
The thing is, so both of these episodes are trying to achieve something similar. You have a villain who is after somebody who is a rich tycoon who ruined their life. But I think the thing that is mainly different is that in the episode, you feel sorry for Mr. Freeze. You feel sympathy and pity for the man. Like he can't control, he doesn't have any emotions anymore because they've been frozen out of him, as he says. But for Matt Hagen, he's just like a jerk. I know he's going through a lot of trauma, but the guy, his best friend, who might have been more than a friend. At least I think that's what the show was hinting at. He just like tosses him aside, like, I don't need you. I don't need anything. And it makes him really unlikable, not as sympathetic as somebody like Mr. Freeze is, whose motivation was just to save his wife, and now he wants revenge on the man who took it. This guy wants revenge because he tried to steal from Daggett and got caught and got almost killed because of it. It's not as deep as a motivation.
Actually, I would say it's the reverse of what you said, honestly, because while you're right, it was to say Victor Freeze's wife, and it's more of an easier, it's like a low hanging fruit. Like, oh, the poor guy just wants to save his wife. Of course, you're going to feel sympathetic. It's really challenging to the audience if you can make a jerk of a character eventually be somebody that you're kind of rooting for and that you feel sorry for. So to make the audience actually feel badly for Matt Hagen when you kind of don't like him, that to me is a greater accomplishment.
I think one of the things that also doesn't hold up as well as Feet of Clay is the other villain's plot. Like this makeup that he's trying to sell that would scar your face. And it's like, how on earth is that a good business thing? You know, like at least Boyle in Heart of Ice, he's just trying to pretend to be humanitarian so he can get good publicity. Where like Daggett's scheme is downright silly when you think about it.
Well, what I love about Batman the Animated Series, one of the main things I love is the bringing up the B-side characters and making them more household names. And to me, Roland Daggett was this awesome other gangster character that kept going throughout the series. You can't say the same thing from Heart of Ice.
No, but you can't say the same thing for Matt Hagen either. Mr. Freeze, Heart of Ice changes the Mr. Freeze character, and everybody follows the animated series format. Where Matt Hagen isn't even Clayface anymore in comics. Nobody uses Matt Hagen. Nobody cares about Matt Hagen. When you look about the number of episodes, like it's like Matt Hagen isn't really that essential of a character. It's all Basil Carlyle now. Like he didn't leave as much as an impact in the history of comics in comparison with Mr. Freeze, who has become like sure he was terrible in the movie Batman and Robin, but at least his character was popular enough to get a movie. Like 10 plus movies in, and nobody has even tried to make Clayface.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the quality of an episode has nothing to do with what you're saying in regards to other media afterwards.
Fair enough, but I was just saying Mr. Freeze left a longer impact than Roland Daggett ever did.
I mean, how many episodes did Roland Daggett get versus what's his name from the Humanitarian of the Ward of Heart of Ice? That's his only episode.
Yeah, but Roland Daggett only gets like 2. Like it's
Which
this
is-
one, and then the episode with
which is-
Catwoman, and I think that's it.
I think it's 3, but it's more than the other guy got.
It's not like Roland Daggett himself is all that interesting. When it comes to the comparison between the main 2 villains, I think there's no comparison between Mr. Freeze, who every dialogue that he says is so tragic and like Shakespearean in the way that he says it. Where Matt Hagen, he's fine as a villain, he's good, but it's like there's nothing special about him compared to any of the other villains in the Batman.
That's completely off base. If you want to talk about time span across the animated series, Matt Hagen essentially had a daughter at some point that formed sentience after it left his body, and it was literally part of him that became a child. And then at the end, he goes and has to like consume her to be part of him again. That there is nothing even close to that with Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze
appears in Batman Beyond, and Clayface does not.
Mr.
So
Freeze
I think
is
with
a
longevity
robot.
of the character, they wanted to tell his story. No, he wasn't.
Well, in Batman Beyond, Mr. Freeze is almost all robot.
No, they clone him into a new body.
Like I said, almost all robot.
Clones are not robots. But anyway, getting back to the point of the episodes, I think Heart of Ice is just, you feel more for the character. Batman himself is doing a lot more to figure things out and try to uncover things. You also got classic lines like how he uses chicken soup to defeat Mr. Freeze, and he's like, it's the only way to fight a cold. The poetic irony and all that and whatnot.
So your argument is that chicken soup makes him a better villain?
I'm saying that
Okay, that's it.
much.
We're done. I've heard enough. All right, so I'm going to cast the first vote. By the way, fun fact, just to give you guys a few kind of fact checks here. Yes, Roland Daggett 4 episodes.
Thank you.
Just want to let you know. Yeah, so I'm gonna. So my vote is for Lazerdude. All right, Gulliver.
First off, great choices from both of you.
Oh yeah.
When I heard the original question, I was very excited, and these were both ones that came to mind as possibilities that I would have chosen. So I think you both had really good choices there. I think at the beginning of listening to you guys talk, I probably would have leaned towards Heart of Ice, but I'm actually going to go the other way after hearing your guys' arguments. I think the argument for Feet of Clay was a good representation of what the episode means and the character arc involved. Whereas there was not a whole lot of defense of the Heart of Ice and a fair amount of teardown of the Feet of Clay. So I'm going to have to go with the impassioned defense of Feet of Clay here.
Also, I want to point out that today is I should say 1 week ago today was the 30th anniversary of the release of Feet of Clay Part 2.
Huh.
Well, you can't take that into consideration, but good for it.
Well,
no,
of course
no.
not.
I'm
I'm just saying.
I'm honoring
I'm
it.
just,
I'm
just
saying-
kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm teasing.
Yes, I know. But it's just a nice little tidbit.
Yes.
Well, to be fair, pretty much a lot of them are probably in the 30th anniversary spaces, given when it premiered. So
Yeah, a lot of them kind of aired at once.
Let's see. Heart of Ice came out on.
yeah, because like the 5th would have been like Cat in the Claw, and then you have like down. But the point of the air dates were always really screwed up, so I don't really think. But no, seriously, it's a really cool like homage to it. It's a really nice nod to it, though. Seriously. Okay, Rohit. Well, you're the tiebreaker, buddy. Who sold you?
So, in terms of the opening statements, I think you guys were really equally matched. I really liked Machi's presentation on sort of the notion of aging and the existential dread that Matt Hagen's gone through, and the irony in him experiencing that kind of particular fate and him becoming Clayface. I appreciated that irony being pointed out as the selling point. In the actual just sort of clashing of ideas, the thread was lost a little bit in terms of just talking about the impact of the respective villains beyond the individual episode. And I think, for my money, Lazerdude made more arguments about certain merits in the individual episode, whereas for Feeder Clay, there wasn't much beyond just Matt Hagen. What's weird to me is that neither of you guys mentioned about Machi, you mentioned about well acted. It's weird that you didn't mention about Ron Perlman's performance as Matt Hagen. I feel like that would have been a point that led to that favor. But
I mean, that is acting.
no, but he didn't state that within the debate. It's like how Ron Perlman's vocal deliveries, inflection, the stuff like that. You talk more about the character, and that was a good point. But for Lazerdude, he mentioned about the dialogue, the sort of tragedy, and the sort of humanitarian, the chicken soup, the fun gag of it. He mentioned more components of the episode for Heart of Ice, and so
I'm honestly surprised you didn't even mention the animation quality for both of these either.
Well, I mean, that's what I was referring to about that dramatic last scene. That's one of the best animated scenes in all of it.
By the way, I want to weigh in on that real quick.
Honestly, I didn't want to argue against that scene for the animation, because the animation in Heart of Ice is fine, but there's nothing comparative to that scene in Feet of Clay with him shape-shifting into a million people.
I mean,
so I
yeah,
didn't want to get in comparatives.
That is what I was talking about, but I guess I didn't say those specific words. But that's what that animation and that scene was what I was referring to.
Okay, well, Rohit, keep going. Who you? I'll chime in after you give the point.
Yeah, but I think overall, in terms of what was made more explicit and more structured in terms of listing out the components that made the episode the best episode, I think Lazerdude made the better case for Heart of Ice.
All right, so Lazerdude has earned the first point. Well thought round. 2 excellent picks. Fun fact. With the excellent picks, I think 2 of the best, for my money, the 2 best animation studios on Batman did the animation for both episodes. They had Spectrum on Heart of Ice. Studio so good it kind of went bankrupt because it put so much into the animation. And then you have TMS, who did the Two-Face, that did the Clayface. Well, they did Two-Face and Clayface. Don't get confused. So they did the Clayface episode in that animation. With that animation, a point is brought up during the fight. I wanted to chime in with is that my headcanon. I'm pretty sure the way it reads in the episode, I could be wrong, is that because he said when he shape shifted, it was like tensing a muscle. He was transforming on reflex so often, and Batman had that bit where he says it really takes a lot out of you, doesn't it? So he was actually on the ropes during that fight, and then he probably figured, okay, I'm going to lose this. I'm going to fake my death.
Yeah,
that's how I think it happened.
I would agree.
I think that's probably how it is too. I just wanted to argue the point that it wasn't as clear cut as something like Mr. Freeze's thing.
Yeah. Also, just because I didn't really
when it comes down to it, we both like both episodes.
They're both great episodes.
I mean, there's no question. There's no question about liking both episodes at all.
Would have been a one-sided fight if you picked something like Moon of the Wolf or something.
Yeah. How hard it would be if you chose Feet of Clay Part 2 and I chose Feet of Clay Part 1. Well, that would be
I think it would have been still Feet of Clay Part 2. Honestly, that's the reason why I chose that part.
Yeah, it is. I agree with him too. It is very much. It's the meat of the meal. I mean, much as I like the who bell, who,
Yeah.
it's not exactly the whole him punching the wall and the thing almost falling on germs.
Absolutely. It's also
Scarlet Fever,
directed by Kevin
terrible way to
Altieri.
go.
Crimson Fever, terrible, lousy way to go.
Crimson Fever. Yeah.
Like, I think one of my
This is
personal
seawater analysis.
Mm.
from my personal pick from at least what I can remember seeing anyway would probably be The Man Who Killed Batman.
That's a great one. Me, I
It's a
would have
fun
gone
one.
Laughing Fish all the way, but we don't have time to speculate. Let's see. So again, first point, Lazerdude. I'm gonna check for that for the old blasted coin here. I think the first place I'm gonna check the old trusty utility belt. I'm finding a lot in here. I'm sifting. I'm searching. I'm finding smoke pellets. I'm not finding the coin. So,
Did you-
so no
did
dice there.
Did you find the
You
shark
got the shark
repellent?
repellent?
Hey,
Yes,
hey,
perfect. Perfect.
Jinx, you owe me a soda.
Okay.
Well, I'm not going to mail you one, so how about that?
Well, we'll have to meet in person then.
He'll give you the worst possible soda choice, like a knockoff brand.
Be like a Fanta or something.
You're going to get dill pickle soda or something like that.
Ugh.
Hey, the rules are the other person gets to pick what kind of soda you get.
Wait, really? Those are the rules?
I don't know. I'm making that up.
Okay, we're getting sidetracked here. Point being, no coin, no hidden coin this round. But
And
Jacob, did we hear the word?
I'm checking the database, searching the back computers. What do you say? It's no.
Richard Mole says no. Okay. All right, that brings us to round numero dos. This is going to be a good debate, folks. We got two strong fighters. We got a lot of strong picks. We're just going to keep getting better and better. Fingers crossed. So, the old adage, heroes only as good as his villains. Well, when it comes to Batman the Animated Series, it's an embarrassment of riches. We had a lot to pick from, and obviously there's one on the top, so we took him off the table. Who is the best villain from Batman the Animated Series besides the Mark Hamill Joker? So, Lazerdude, what say you?
I say it's Harley Quinn. Pleased to meet ya.
Okay, Phil, what do you got?
I mean, I'm gonna keep my theme going for the night and stick with Clayface.
All right, Clayface. All right. Lazerdude, opening statement. Why is Harley the best?
When I was asked this question, I actually didn't want to choose Harley. I thought she probably would be the obvious choice. And so I started looking through the Batman villains' appearances and stuff. And the more I looked, the more I thought the one character who has the most consistently good episodes and is consistently good in every single appearance that they are in is Harley Quinn. Every single moment she's on screen, she pops, she's colorful, she's funny, she's hilarious. She's voiced by Arlene Sorkin, and to my mind, she still hasn't been topped as the best Harley Quinn. It is such a funny performance, but also a character that is deeply troubled. You get episodes like Mad Love, where we dive into Harley's past and everything. We learn about her and the tragicness about her and how she's somebody who is just wanting to escape from this terrible, terrible person, but just keeps finding herself drawn in. It was a unique type of character that you didn't really see that often at the time. So Harley Quinn, hands down, best character from the animated series besides Joker.
Guys, did you hear what Lazerdude said at the end there?
Yeah, he said best character.
Just want to make sure. Okay. All right. Phil,
Mm-hmm.
opening statement.
Opening statement is, to me, what defines a villain is their tragedy. Their tragedy shapes who they are, how they behave, and it's often in Batman a reflection of their outward appearance. And so again, Matt Hagen, Clayface, he was obsessed with his visuals, and what did he do? He became a literal monster. So you have a poetic justice right there. And like I've mentioned before, he goes on and spawns a literal child later on in the series, only to have absorb her again and murders her. So I mean, who murders their own child? Like, he is, to me, he is a far superior villain because he's just so cruel, and the shape shifting aspect of him makes him creepy and hard to predict. So I remember as a kid watching this show and coming home every day, turning it on after school, and if there was a Clayface episode, I was glued to my screen. So I have to put it based off of what, as an audience member, drew me in, and the psychology behind him, the visuals, like the character design. It's just a cool looking mud monster guy that can become anybody. That seems like, to me, how do you fight that versus a literal human being with a psychiatry degree?
All right, let's fight it out. Clay versus Clown. Let's do it.
I mean, if you want tragedy, Harley Quinn is, I believe, more tragic. Somebody who's stuck in this abusive relationship, and every time you want her to just get out, and she falls right back in. That is something that is like also relatable today. Nobody can relate to a big mud monster who can change his face and do all this sort of thing. Where Harley Quinn, everybody has probably known somebody who's been in a relationship that you just wish they could get out of.
Well, unfortunately, I would agree with you if it wasn't for the fact that Harley Quinn went into this crap willingly. Matt Hagen never asked to have someone pour this goo down his throat. So while he may have been the first person to put it on his face, he certainly didn't ask to be suffocated in it. Harley Quinn is constantly going back for abuse when people have told her, Poison Ivy, for example, that that's a horrible idea, and she just keeps going back for more.
Yeah, but let's be honest here. Harley is a lot more fun of a character. Some is a reason why she's been, adapted and into comics out of this. I mean, invented by Batman the Animated Series, and it was a nothing character that just moved on because of their performance. I looked at the count of the episodes. Clayface was only in 5 episodes of Batman the Animated Series, and 3 of those, or 2 of those, I think, were just like quick cameos. Like, he was in a Christmas episode, he was in the background in another episode. He was only really in, I guess, if you count Feet of Clay as 2 different episodes, he was only really in 4 episodes of Batman the Animated Series where he had a starring role. Harley Quinn was always a supporting role in any Joker episode, but was also there anytime it was her. She got 3 episodes. Well, one was her in Poison Ivy, but it was still very much her focused, and then one more after when we got a Mad Love later on. So I feel like she gets more of a spotlight, is bigger impact overall, and just overall is more fun of a character that you want to see on your screen more.
Well, unfortunately, this debate is about best villain, and Harley Quinn has been morphed into an anti-hero. So on that alone, I'm going to say Clayface is a better villain.
Yeah, but that's in the comics. That's not in the animated series. We're talking about in the animated series.
How are you saying this when for Harley's Holiday, she's trying to turn a new leaf, and then you have how she ends up helping Batman later on in the series and in the movies, like the Batman Harley Quinn movie. She ends up being like an assistant to them to try to figure stuff out. Harley has always been this loose cannon where you don't know if she's good or bad. There's no question that Clayface is bad. So to me, he's a much better villain by definition of the word villain.
I think though Harley, the difference is like villain is subjective because like Catwoman's a villain too, and she's just stealing stuff. So I don't think it matters that she sometimes flirts with reform. I mean Scarface and the ventriloquist were villains throughout the show, but he got cured by the last time we saw him. So a villain can turn around, and doesn't mean they weren't a villain throughout the show. Harley Quinn is just always so much fun, and the stories that go around her are so huge and outlandish. Like on Harley's Holiday, just
being
a simple misunderstanding spiral. No, well, yeah, then look at the Joker. He's fun, and he's a great villain. He's the best villain.
Correct,
I think that Harley,
those two are not mutually dependent upon each other. You can be fun and a villain, but being fun doesn't make you a villain.
But she almost kills Batman. She ties him up upside down and hangs him from his feet, and he says that she almost had him. That he was
Clayface almost suffocates him inside of his chest cavity. I mean, that's a lot more disturbing to me.
Yeah, but we're not talking about which one's disturbing. The villain doesn't necessarily needs to be psychopathic, evil, or anything like that. It just
It
needs to be
doesn't?
somebody who is the antagonist of the hero, and that is Harley Quinn. She is just a person who is always in a train wreck. And when we find her story in Mad Love,
She
when
is a
she is
train
like
wreck.
shoved out the window, yeah, but in the best way, when she's shoved out a window and then she still is in love with the Joker, even though he pushed her out a window and almost killed her.
That's
It,
not
you
villainous.
feel for her.
That's
That
sad.
makes her sympathetic. Yes, sympathetic. Villains can be sympathetic. Magneto, you sympathize with his cause. I mean, you were talking about how you sympathize with Clayface in the last round because of what Daggett did to him. So you can be
Exactly.
sympathetic towards a
Exactly.
villain, and
But
they
you
can
don't want
still
to
be a
correlate.
villain.
Sympathy doesn't make you a good villain. I'm just saying sympathy adds a layer to it.
You saying she's not villainous? She's thrown grenades into public things. She's helped Joker with everything. Don't even get me started what she helps him to do in Return of the Joker. So,
Harley is
I
chaotic.
mean,
Chaotic is a little bit different. So she's like a force of nature. So she's a great character, but I would never think of her as like a true villain. She's just kind of like anybody in her path is you never know what's going to happen. Clayface is in the
well,
room.
you brought
know what's
up.
gonna
Oh, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was saying if Clayface is in the room, you know what's going to happen. He's going to be a bad guy. If Harley's in the room, she might do something funny. She might do something helpful. She might do something bad. So because of that, she's a wild card. That to me is different than a
Exactly.
better villain.
But she's more interesting. You look at the episode that you brought up where Clayface makes a little girl, and then at the end of the episode, he's molds her back inside himself.
Kills
We
her.
don't even know Clayface is involved in that for most of it. Most of it, Clayface is just this random guy that's ripping stuff off. He's not the dynamic focal point of the episode. The
He
little
murders
girl
a
is the
little
person he
girl.
created. The person he created is the focal point of the episode. He's like a side thing to that.
And then he murders her. She's technically part of Clayface, so that's a false argument right there. And I don't think we've ever seen Harley murder anybody. So I mean, that alone makes him a better villain.
Just because he gets to. But
he
I mean,
murders
it's
a
one of those
child?
things where it's debatable. It's if he's murdering her since it's part of him. It just gained a little bit of a consciousness.
Yeah, I mean No, that thing was walking around and having its own thoughts. That was a sentient being right there. He murdered a
You could call
child
it a split personality that he absorbed right back into him. You could argue
that he killed, that he still killed. He snuffed it out.
Okay. Rohit, what do you think, buddy? Who won this one?
I think for me, when you look at the question, who's the best villain for Batman the animated series, I think Machi did a better job at addressing what makes a villain tick, what makes a villain work, and all of Lazerdude's arguments. Like, yes, she's a great character, she's a fun character, but I think Machi really made the good point is that just because a character is fun or sympathetic doesn't make them great at being a villain. And I think Machi's points about the shape shifting component, the tragedy for his background, and the murder essentially of Annie, the kid that had a sentience, I think for me adds to sort of the compelling argument of who's the best villain. So as such, my vote goes to Machi.
Okay. Gulliver.
Once again, spectacular choices to both of you guys. This is another close match for sure. I am leaning towards Harley as the choice, though. I think the argument about her being chaotic is very compelling to me because she does have a sense of growth and change over time. Her character factors into some of those story arcs that grow. And as we can see, she grows far beyond, that in the Batman animated series. The Batman animated series kind of laid the ground for all kinds of other things that come later. Completely setting aside all of that stuff, that chaos makes her unpredictable and I think a pretty interesting villain, because if you can't predict what they're going to do, whether they're on your side or not, that's really frustrating when you think you can put in a little element of trust and then it gets torn away from under you. Clayface is a good villain too, and I completely agree with the arguments that you've laid down, but I think Harley is the more interesting character and over time the better villain.
This is interesting because I think for me, I'm really split because I think both of you waited too long to use your kill shots. You both had 2 kill shots for the other guy, but I didn't. It kind of like they stalled, so it's kind of hard for me to make the decision. Where, for example, had Lazerdude really firmly like used like when the villainy was in question, if he used Return of the Joker, is like, well, yeah, even if she's essentially, if he said like, yeah, even if she's, like kind of like breaking away from the Joker, maybe kind of going to the side of angels. Ultimately, we know she's going to do something horrible to a child or take part in that. I think that would have really helped his argument had he like firmly kind of gotten in there instead of just kind of casually, oh yeah, no, don't get me started on that. Like, yes, get started on that. That would have helped you.
It's yeah, she pretty much psychologically.
It was Batman Beyond, though. I thought it.
But I mean, that was a flashback to the animated series, though.
It's kind of convoluted when you think about it that way.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Well, regardless, and then on the flip side, with Machi, again, I think the other thing potentially is that I don't know. I guess I'm thinking, just kind of talking it through now. I'm thinking it looks like the big flaw in the Clayface argument for me that was very lightly touched on, but I think far too late, and it's looking like it's not looking good for Lazerdude. If just thinking about it out loud right now, it's that
No, think back to what you were thinking before.
The whole the questioning the sentience of Annie it was a really important thing. I wish I heard more about just the whole, she was, the fact that, is it really murdering a little girl if she is part of them? And I feel if Lazy really kind of dug his heels in more to that, it would have gone his way in taking down the Clayface thing, because that was the big thing Machi was really touting up. I didn't really hit enough against that. So I think I'm going to go Machi. By a slim margin, I'm going Machi on this one.
1-1.
Just for the record, though, I'm a big fan of Harley Quinn also.
Yeah, no, they're both great characters, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And we need more Matt Hagen. We're always going with Basil Carter.
Yeah, I was going to bring it up as like Clayface is Harley Quinn's psychic in the Harley Quinn show. I was going to bring that up, but I forgot.
Yeah, it wouldn't have made much of a difference considering we're not talking about the Harley Quinn show.
I know.
Yeah, you want to go
such
comic
a good
relief.
actor. He's Billy Bob Thornton.
Man, y'all choose the villains that really are terrible to children.
I mean, we're looking for villains.
Hey,
Fair point.
I mean, to be fair, majority of the villains in this show do terrible things to children.
Real quick question: did you, Machi, did you ever see that tie-in comic where Clayface helped that kid with like kind of like a clay-like disorder?
Did not ever see that. No.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it basically kind of helps this kid in exchange for like getting time. Well, basically getting like a little kind of special treatment in Arkham, like kind of a little looser, more kind of lax security thing. But yeah,
is it an animated series based comic or is it?
Yeah, it was one of the animated series tie-in comics. Yeah, not the ones they're doing now, but from back in the day.
Not season 2. Got it.
Yeah. All right. So,
and like I said, to be fair, pretty much majority of the villains in here, especially the recurring ones, at one point do something terrible to children.
Yeah.
So,
Tiki, do we want to share some comments?
I mean, we got a lot of them, and you have in mind.
Well, I meant Z and K channel, for example.
Oh, sure. Here.
If we're there we go. If we're doing the reformed Harley negative aspects, it's not like that was an exclusive only for her. They did the same thing with Penguin. I believe he's referring to Birds of a Feather. Does that make him a good guy despite turning back? Well, yeah, I'd say probably not the best example that Z and K citing there, but I think the point is the whole about I think his reform point does come through though. All right, let's see. Then New Horizons Music says, I think Harley is more tragic than properly villainous. Harley is a great character, but not exclusively an antagonist. And yeah, that's the very thing, Harley Quinn, the animated series, especially this third season, is really built upon. The whole, they're kind of doing a little bit more of the, especially now in comics, right this second, we're definitely doing more an anti-hero sort of thing. So it's quite interesting, but looking at the animated series, sidekick the villainy for sure. So, yeah. Okay, that brings us to, I'm sorry, I'm over eager here. I'm jumping ahead. Let me look for that coin. Look for it. Well, I don't know about you. If I'm looking for a coin, I'm going to check the First National Bank of Gotham. Checking the old safety deposit box. seeing a whole bunch of goodies, but I'm seeing coins, but I'm not seeing the coins. So we're just gonna shut that and just kind of move on. Jacob, was it said?
Checking the records. Analyzing. I'm getting conclusive evidence. Should I reveal my findings?
Yes.
The answer is no.
Still nothing. Still bupkis. All right.
All answers pointing to no.
All right. So far, the boys are safe. So far. All right. That brings us to round number 3. Of course, I've always used the shorthand that Batman: Mask of the Phantasm is kind of the blue meth version of Batman the Animated Series. It's that show at its most perfected kind of like kind of most perfected state, kind of most pure state of like everything on the top firing all cylinders and such, with the proper budget and everything. So with that said, it does beg the question, looking back on kind of one of the peaks of Batman the Animated Series with that movie, having gone theatrical and such, what is the best scene from Batman Mask of the Phantasm? It was just one scene and slash moment from the film. Let's see what our players picked. Lazerdude.
I picked Bruce begging at his parents' grave for him to forgo the vow that he gave them.
So I didn't count on being happy. Yes. Okay. Phil.
And I have chosen the scene that gives me chills every time. The proposal that was interrupted by a bunch of bats flying out of what would become the Batcave.
A baddie proposal indeed. Okay.
I see what you did there.
Yes. Lazerdude, opening statement.
I don't know if there's ever a scene that understood Batman more in any film ever. There's a scene where Bruce, he's finally reached some level of happiness with this woman, Andrea Beaumont, and he is still going out with her, but he's also still planning to be Batman. He doesn't know it's going to be Batman yet, but he's still planning to be the vigilante, but he's conflicted. He's of two minds, and he doesn't know what to do. He never planned on being someone who was happy. He always planned to be a person filled with vengeance, fighting crime. And now he's conflicted. So he goes to his parents' graves begging, just begging for them to release him from his vows. So it's okay. He asks, please, I need this to be different now. I didn't count on being happy. Tell me it's okay. Tell me it's okay. And that is just the spirit of Batman. Someone who's like, it's the moment. The best thing I can compare it to is Jesus praying to God before he's taken on the cross. Like, hey, if there's any way to release me of this burden, please do it. But if not, your will be done. I mean, obviously, Batman isn't God, but I'm just. That's the scene that I'm comparing it to, and it's just so good.
Okay. Phil.
I mean, I have to thank Lazerdude for making my argument for me. Because quite literally, yes, that is an ultimate, tragic moment in Batman's life. And it's amplified more and shown more when he tries to be happy, to choose happiness, and fate literally rips that choice out of his hands. And the bats are this ominous cloud over his head. And you could just see it in his eyes. There is something like the hope is drained out in that moment because he did try. He tried to choose happiness for once in his life. And in that moment, he is denied.
All right. Let's fight it out.
Yeah, the biggest problem in comparison with these two scenes, both are good scenes, but the problem is your scenes is really rushed. When I watch back at it, Bruce just sits down and is like, all right, here's a ring. Oh, and then bats fly out. That's it, where the emotion just builds up in the graveyard scene with him begging on his knees, praying to his parents for them to let him free of his vow. There's just no comparison in these two scenes. Like, mine is definitely the better one.
I mean, I'm surprised you're saying that because Shirley Walker's music crescendos to a haunting peak in the scene with the bats coming out of it. I mean, that right there, that is the whole universe telling him you don't get to have this. And so to me, the reason why that's a stronger scene is that is a pivotal change in the character's trajectory. He thought his life was going this way, and in that moment he is told it is not. But in your scene that you chose, while it is very emotional, there is nothing in that scene that changes anything yet.
I mean, you want to compare moments. What about the moment where the choir swells and the lightning flashes over the grave that says Wayne, as if they're looking down upon him and judging him for thinking of going away from this path? But we know that that's all in his head. That's what he is thinking. Obviously, his parents would want him to be happy, but he made this vow and he needs to see it through. And the Andrea showing up there saying maybe they sent me, maybe they said it's okay, and they embrace in the rain. That is the turning point where Batman says, okay, I'm going to choose happiness. That is him making the choice. You think that doesn't change anything? That's the last we see of the flashback until your scene. This is the moment where he chooses, okay, I'm going to choose Andrea. He didn't embrace his parents' grave. He ran towards her and chose her. Your scene, as I say, it's too quick. It's too like, here's the ring. And then she says yes, and then we move on, and then she's gone. It's just
I'm looking
quick.
at actions. I'm looking at actions. So in my choice of scene, the action is him proposing. That is something that Bruce has always been the playboy, and here we see him proposing and making a commitment. That is not evident in your scene. And so he thinks, I'm finally out. This is a moment of joy. He starts to smile. You can hear him. His voice is different. And yes, the choir does swell in the scene I chose as well. So length of scene does not change the fact that this is more of a pivotal change in his life. The other one is a pleading moment that is tragic, but the one I'm listing is literally, you don't get to have this. Now your life has to go this other direction.
Yeah, well, let's talk about animation here for a second, because my scene is leagues ahead of yours. They're just sitting there and they have some bat twirls in the scene where the rain is coming down on Bruce. It is so beautifully animated. The scene where he embraces her and they're both soaking wet in the rain, the lightning strikes. Everything about my scene is absolutely gorgeously animated. The only thing kind of nice in your scene is it has a good sunrise in the background. That's about it. I mean, when it comes to both musical score, emotion, acting, the Kevin Conroy is saying, please tell me it's okay. I didn't count on being happy. Like, the emotion of that moment is all coming through the performance and the music and the animation, where Bruce just says, well, what do you say in your scene? Like, it's not really all that emotional or deep in all that much in the scene.
I think at the end of the day, I'm always going to err on the side of what does this do to the character. So he can say I didn't count on being happy versus what do you say, but the reality is he gets an answer, and it's the answer that makes him Batman. I have to go with the answer that makes him into Batman.
Well, that doesn't make him into the Batman. It's foreshadowing for what does. But what makes him into Batman is
I mean, the
Andrea
rain
leaving.
sure doesn't make him
That's in
into
a
Batman.
different scene. No, but it's symbolic of him. This is the pinnacle of him struggling with this choice. This is the pinnacle of him fighting against his better nature, or his worse nature, depending on how you argue with it. It is the pinnacle of Batman fighting against Batman before he even is Batman.
Right. I'm interested in seeing him become Batman, and that's the scene. The scene I listed is the one where his life starts to go in that direction, because right afterwards we end up seeing them discovering the Batcave and all that stuff. That is the moment where the fork in the road splits.
Yeah, but the emotions and the animation and the music in my scene is just a whole lot more impactful. Where your scene, it's like, sure, the music is there, but the acting's not really there. The emotion's not really there. It's just like, oh, there's some foreshadowing, and the
You want to talk about
foreshadowing's nice.
emotion? How often do we get to see Bruce Wayne smiling and actually looking like he has some relief? To me, seeing that and then having it taken away is, I mean, that's definitely an emotionally tear-jerking scene.
Yeah, not as much as him begging at his parents' grave for them to release him from his vow. Like, a little bit of a smile versus somebody begging on their knees to not have to go down this dark path. I mean, You see what I'm talking about here, where I'm coming from?
I mean, I hear you.
Okay.
Good. I'm glad.
Okay. All right. Gulliver. Where are you landing on this?
This one is a challenge to judge because they're both great moments, but ostensibly, Lazerdude's choice is the setup, and Phil's choice is the payoff of sort of the same moment, the same beat in the movie.
That's true.
Uh,
That's
and
very true.
that overall beat is absolutely the best part of the movie. I'm 100% on board with both of you in that regard. I think.
By the way, that's why I chose Feet of Clay Part 2, because again, set up and then punchline.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm with you. It's so tough for me to make a hard decision here, but I think the performance and the moment that hurts more is the scene at the grave where he's saying, I didn't count on being happy. And for me, that makes it the stronger of those two moments. However, I think that is a subjective one because these are all part of a bigger, beat in that movie. So I want to make it clear you've both argued for an excellent part of this film. That is a very good choice on both your parts.
All right. So just to clarify, Gulliver. So you're erring on the side of Lazerdude here. Am I right?
Correct.
I just want to make sure. Okay. Roll hits. I need my lawyer. What do you got?
Man, I was very interested in Phil's opening in regards to sort of this payoff. What was interesting, I feel like Phil should have made this point as sort of, as a good kind of cutter or like kill shot against Laserdude. Laser talks about like, Bruce being like Jesus talking to God in his parents' grave. And I feel like Phil should have says, in the moment the bats come out, that's God's answer.
I mean,
That is
I did say fate. I just chose
Hey,
not to
excuse
say
me,
the
that's fair. Okay, so let me retract that. So that was kind of an interesting back and forth as like the devout, the zealot, or the person who's of faith seeking pleading, seeking forgiveness versus the universe answering. And that is such an interesting like back and forth, like the whole setup and payoff thing. I think ultimately I think Laser Dude made a lot of good points in analyzing the components that made the scene well, the emphasis on the score, Kevin Conroy's acting, the overall like tragedy and ambiance, and the emotional resonance, and and then hit upon Phil's choice in terms of like animation being limited, not much in the acting department. So I think overall, in terms of argument, I think Lasertube tips the scales in his favor.
Yeah, well, again, not that my vote really is needed here, but if I were to weigh in, I'd say, look, obviously, there's not a bad scene in Phantasm. This two excellent scenes, very big in the journey of Bruce Wayne, especially in our flashback structure. And honestly, I don't think anyone missed a beat in the arguments of these. I just think ultimately, I think Laserdude, he had kind of like him really, he just really resold me on like the ambiance of it all with the rain and the whole. And honestly, the bit for me that he hit, I was so glad that he hit is the whole maybe they sent me moment with Andre. Is like, yeah, yep, okay. Laserdude gets my vote, so it's a clean sweep for Laserdude this round. It's a close one, though. Again, two very excellent. Because you're right. Phil's absolutely right, though. Again, like how often do you see Bruce Wayne smile and content and happy, and then you have that Walker score come in, and just you see
It's
the whole
pretty great to be told you're right and it not matter.
Yeah.
welcome to the club.
That's the problem. You're both right, but someone has to win.
I'm just more right.
Yeah.
Some arguments are created equal, some are more equal than others.
All right, so Laserdude's got 2 points. Phil's got 1, and let me check. Let me check for the coin.
That was an Animal Farm reference, by the way.
Okay, let me check this. Not this relic of the '90s here. Let me check this coin operated Batmobile, that the Penguin was riding in Batman Returns. Let me check this. No. All the coins have been used to take a number of wild rides in this thing. So unfortunately, that's a no go, good buddy.
Mr. Cobblepot's Wild Ride.
Yeah, indeed. He's even dressed like the guy, but yeah, no, I'm kidding. So, so Jacob, oh dear weatherman of fate. Given what apparently weather is kind of fate in Batman the animated series, if we go by Phantasm. Tell me, did anyone say the word that's gonna? Are we gonna have like a little kind of thunder, lightning, no on this? Or are we gonna have just kind of like a little like, hey, the bats are coming out. You found your symbol. Yes.
Well, to continue your analogy, thunder or lightning.
Okay, it's a firm no then, right?
It's a all signs pointing to no.
Okay. All right.
You guys steered clear of the mines for the first 3 rounds.
Yeah, so
But keep in mind there can be as much as 3 rounds next. As little as 3 as the minimum of 3 rounds next. So you guys have plenty of opportunities to walk into our traps.
you don't want to get cocky. All right, so now we've reached the end of 3 rounds. It's been well fought rounds. I'm going to give you both a gift. I'm going to give you a bat coin. Aren't you happy? Look, it's a bat coin. You can do whatever you want with it. You want to flip it? Huh, Lazerdude? You want to flip the coin?
Oh, the coin. The coin is always the bane of my existence. Although the one time I did flip it, I did get a point. But since I'm ahead at the moment, I will flip.
Okay.
You will flip. All right.
He's going to flip. Come on, Flipsy.
Hey!
Hey, fortune favors the bold.
The brave and the bold.
Yeah. So that's Lazy's got 3 on the board. Phil, you want to flip?
I mean, what do I have to lose?
A point.
Yeah,
a point.
A single point.
But I have a point. Like what?
Yes.
Like-
So are you going to flip or not?
I mean, yeah, I have to.
Well, not by law, but it's your call.
Yeah, you don't have to, Phil. You can choose not to.
Yeah, you don't have to.
But if I don't flip a coin,
Yeah.
then there's
You
no
have to get 4.
there's no chance to catch up. So
But if you also flip it and it lands tails, you'll have even more have a hard time to catch it.
well, then I'll still be losing.
I just flipped it and it went heads, so 50-50, it probably favors it from being
All right,
tails.
guys, can we not peer pressure Phil? Phil, would you like to flip, please?
I mean, just do it and pull off the Band-Aid. It's fine.
I mean, we're just warning him. That's all.
All right. We got it.
It's fine. I'm
Oh,
okay.
look at that.
Hey!
Hey!
All right.
There you go.
Look, Phil's got 2 on the board. Lazy's got 3.
Two-Face smiles upon us today.
Yeah. Ugly
Well,
smile, but-
one face.
Did Batman swap it out with a coin that's only good side today? What's happening?
Either that or it's falling on edge, my friend. I don't know what to tell you. Okay.
It's on edge. It can't be on edge.
All right, so we now enter the speed round. The way this works, it's 30 seconds followed by
Dragon?
yes.
Do we need the coin?
Wait, are you asking me?
Yes, I'm asking you. Do we need the coin anymore?
Well, yeah, we're gonna need the coin if someone says the word. So
Oh,
yeah.
write that down. Sorry.
All right, so
Sorry, that was a brain fart.
all right, so 30 seconds followed by a 15-second rebuttal. Again, dear audience, we are taking audience questions. So if you have any ideally Batman animated series related questions, feel free to ask them, and we'll use them. And you get to call the round. You get to call who wins, who made the better argument for your question. Okay, gentlemen, do you understand these rules as explained here to you today?
Good?
Phil?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. We're going to need the wheel.
Oh, hold on.
Wheel.
Okay, Dragon, you're not
Oh.
going to be
What?
you're not going to be happy, Dragon. But the wheel that we usually use was broken down for some reason. I don't know why. The site was having technical issues. So we have a wheel.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
This is the
boy.
best I could do. This is the best I could do, Dragon. I'm sorry.
And is Peter supposed to have?
Hey, look, it's a Google Chrome wheel.
I know, right?
And does
Okay.
Peter supposed to have 4 E's in it?
Well, no, it's like speed, or there's like an emphasis sort of thing.
The speed round.
All right, I was just double checking.
All right. So this is the wheel of Sesame Street. The way this works is you spin the wheel, you win an answer. Only then do you get the question. So you're both going to be who wants the okay? Let's see. So last round, Lazerdude won. So Laser, do you want to spin first?
I want to
or
go
second?
first.
Okay,
Every
Lazerdude-
single time we've done this, whoever goes first gets the better one. So I'm going first.
Okay.
Lazerdude's going first, and then it's gonna be then it's gonna be Phil Machi.
That was a Freudian slip on your end.
Yeah.
Hey, Cookie Monster.
You're so used to you facing off against me, Rose.
Yeah.
And now the reason we're going with Sister Street is because we usually use a Muppet question every round, but
I just,
They're in the-
given recent circumstances, I just really don't want anyone to land on Zoe, dude. I really don't.
Well, what's been going on with Zoe now?
Oh God, you haven't. Oh,
I don't even
wanna
know
get-
her.
I don't want to.
Okay.
All right. Anyways.
Okay, look, okay. So we take Cookie Monster off.
Yes.
Okay, so this is where it landed.
Yes.
no, he hasn't.
Oh, okay, now we're spinning it. Okay, just want to make sure I didn't look away for a second. Oh God, I spun it.
Oh no.
Oh,
You just had to say something, didn't you?
Okay. Hold on, Phil. Do you even know who Zoe is?
Yeah, I know all about the Muppets.
There you
Okay. Okay. Good. Thank you.
go. Okay, so all right, so
For me
now
to
so you're gonna be
guess it. I don't even know who she is.
I couldn't tell you much about her, but if you had a picture of her, I could point her out.
she's the orange Sesame Street character.
All right.
She's a kid.
Elmo's little
She's a
friend.
little monster kid. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the question: which Sesame Street character should replace Mr. Scarface for the ventriloquist in Batman the Animated Series? The idea is like Mr. Scarface, something
Oh,
happened
man.
to him, and as something tends to do on Batman the Animated Series, usually we dismember Scarface in some way, shape, or form, so we replace him with a new.
I love this.
Are you saying the ventriloquist is holding a different dummy?
Yes, I'm saying the ventriloquist is holding a different dummy. It's going to be one of the Sesame Street characters.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So basically, who'd make the better replacement? That's the that's the question here. So again, so Lazy Cookie
my
Monster
God.
as the new crime boss of Gotham.
So who's going first?
Lazerdude.
All right.
Okay, well, in order for the ventriloquist to really work, you need a calm, mild-mannered ventriloquist and an over-the-top puppet. Cookie Monster is the puppet for that. And he would steal stuff. Of course, he would steal cookies. He'd be like, "Give me all the cookies. We're eating Oreo cookies." Cookie Monster, I don't think we should do that. Now we should go after cookie companies, cookie cranes. And it would be just such a fun matchup. And of course, the henchmen are going to listen. Who's going to argue with a flippin' monster? It works perfectly.
All right. Are we ready? Are you good?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Whenever you start speaking.
Okay.
that's when-
Part of why I love the ventriloquist, one of my favorite villains, is because Scarface is such a jerk to the ventriloquist, and I can't think of a more appropriate Muppet than Oscar the Grouch. He is such a mean, grouchy character, and I could totally see him being a crime boss and just frowning at everything and complaining about everything. It's like a perfect follow-up to Scarface, who's always kind of grouching about everything, even as a mobster.
Wait. Hold.
Yeah, you're supposed to do Zoe.
Yeah, Zoe.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were just picking one randomly.
Well, yeah, that's your
No,
answer.
that's the thing.
though.
You have to do it no matter what.
Apologies.
Yeah. Let's just do that one over.
Well, I'll just
Strike
do
what he
it.
said from the record. We're gonna do it again.
I'll just go it again. Ready? This would be the best thing ever. Here we go. Whoever thought Oscar the Grouch should have been a villain that's the craziest argument ever, because clearly it's Zoe. I mean, have you seen the two little twin girls in The Shining? Say no more. That is some creepy stuff. A little tiny girl as the head of a crime syndicate. That is stuff of nightmares, my friends. And I'm sticking with that answer because it's the one I was told I had to give.
I don't think I need to argue too much, but let's give it a go. I mean, the biggest problem with a character like Zoe is Rhino and all these other henchmen gonna take orders from that thing? It's too small, it's too dainty, it's too kind. Cookie Monster is an aggressive. She wants cookies. They might not understand why he wants the cookies, but they'll do what he says.
Of course they're going to take orders from her. Have you seen Baby Doll? It's essentially the same character. It's this tiny little girl that you're just like, I don't want to make this character angry. She's going to fly off the handle. Trust me, it is going to happen with that Zoe character.
You know, I think just to shake things up, Jacob, I'm gonna Jacob, what? I'm gonna let you call this one, buddy. to throw you a little bone here. I'm gonna let you call this one.
Oh god!
You say Oscar the Grouch wins. I am logging off.
I mean, clearly Oscar is the better choice out of all of them.
Oh yeah,
so you know what the funniest thing about Oscar the Grouch had he been picked? Well, the argument I was hoping would be made is like, you have to imagine the hysterical is where the ventriloquist has to carry a garbage can with him everywhere. He has to put it on his lap.
The ventriloquist has to be in the garbage can.
And Rhino's like putting it down. Anyway, I'm sorry.
He's carrying them all around.
Well, to be fair, I mean, it was. I still understand how you guys oh, it landed on Zoe for me. I might as well argue for Oscar the Grouch. But
keep me guessing. That's what you're trying to do. Yeah, I see it.
But in all honesty, I am going to go with Machi for this one. I love this convincing argument with Zoe, especially bringing Baby Doll into the mix.
Okay, 3-3. There you go. All right, still so far, no words. Tiki, before I search for the coin yet again, do we have any comments that catch your eye?
Yeah, let's see. So New Horizons music is very. He says, "I swear to God, this is the best Muppet question you guys have ever done."
Well, that's good.
Agreed.
Also, Z and K is saying, plus having Sesame Street characters in place of Muppet ones works better because Batman was one of Sesame Street's first season guest stars. That guy says, I just came in and the first thing I hear is two little girls from The Shining. Let's see. ZK Channel says, a friend of mine once did a proposal pitch for a Muppet show with special guest star Adam West, fan episode.
That would have been great.
Bruno would be the ventriloquist.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Okay.
All right.
So,
that's it.
All right. Okay. So let me. You know what? I'm sick of looking for this thing. You know what? I'm going to try. Alfred, bring the coin. All right. I'm tired of looking for it. Just bring it here. Okay.
Is this the coin you requested, sir?
Huh. What do you know? It actually worked. We got the coin. I had no idea he knew where it was. I just thought I'd ask for it and see if he's holding out on me.
Whatever you wish.
Where everything is.
Well, whatever you wish, Master Dragon.
Okay. So let's see. So the winner last round was Phil Machi. So Phil, do you feel like flipping the coin? It's a bonus coin. This is the Harvey Dent $50. It's all yours, buddy.
I believe again. I have used my luck up for the evening. So no whammies. Passing my spins.
Alfred, put it behind glass.
right away, sir.
You didn't use it. Oh, why did I know we're all good? Okay. Oh, it's searching for nothing.
Oh God.
Moving on.
That it seems to be a personal problem, sir.
I know. Anyway. All right, that brings us to the next speed round question. All right. So, given the third season of her show wrapped up, and the fact that in addition to Batman and series turning 30, she herself has turned 30, and there's a lot of love for her in the room. It feels like. What is the funniest Harley Quinn gag from Batman the Animated Series?
Ooh.
Like most laugh. Like what Harley moment made you laugh? Like what's one of the funniest Harley gags? That could be a joke, could be a line, could be something she does, like a gag.
I have one in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, it's got to give me a second to think. There's so many good ones.
Yeah, there's. Ian K made a really good point. Oscar's trash man Bruno. I completely forgot about that. I was more than Bruno. What's he? Isn't he? Does he mean Muggsy? But no, that Bruno. It's cool.
Which one?
Dragon, we're not going to need the randomizer, right?
Well, the randomizer? No.
Yeah.
Dude,
Okay. I don't know why I kept it up.
Get it out of here.
All right.
You're right.
All right, do we have anything, guys?
I got it.
Okay.
It's gonna be from the episode Harley Quinn Aid is when she starts to push buttons in the Batmobile.
Okay. Wait, do you mean when she's looking for the radio?
Yeah.
Okay.
To the radio.
All right. Oh,
I'm gonna go with the. I always loved how she thought about tying Batman upside down, and all the little piranhas would be smiling by his perspective, and how it royally pisses off the Joker that she thought of a better way to end Batman that has a more comedic effect than probably anything he ever came up with.
well, sure, Phil. But I'm saying the gag specifically. So her explaining that to Batman. Is that what you're saying?
Just that little bit of dialogue where she's just like, because they're smiles, they look like little smiles.
Gotcha.
Like,
So she's saying that when he burst in the room. Gotcha.
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Like that scene, I always love that scene. I just thought that's like really funny because it's like, wow, she had a really brilliant moment there.
Well, don't tell me about it all right now. Save it for the.
Oh,
thing.
well, I was answering the question.
No, I got you though, Phil. We're all good. Well, I got you.
Don't give Lazerdude ammunition.
All right.
Oh,
So-
he won't have any ammunition.
You're saying he's shooting blanks?
That's a personal question.
All right.
Oh god.
That was personal. Okay. Before it was business, that was personal.
And Bruce Wayne was hoping Joe Chill was shooting blanks that night.
Oh, all right.
Oh.
Okay, let's save the comedy for Harley. All right. Whenever you start speaking, Lazerdude.
Harley Quinn in the Batmobile is an hilarious concept on its own, and her just wanting to, and it's a totally innocent thing. I think she's trying to mess with the Batmobile. She's really not. She just is so clueless and ditzy. She just has to press a button, which launches the parachute, which launches the Batmobile into the wall, and then Batman just has to yell at her, "Don't you do it? Don't you do it? I will tell you." And then her cute little innocent it's just so perfect. It's just Arlene Sorkin at her finest.
Well, I gotta say, I think Harley Quinn explaining her way of killing Batman by hanging him upside down and all the piranhas below him looking like they're smiling up at him. It's hilarious because Harley Quinn's not a criminal mastermind, and in this cute little moment that she was just trying to help Mr. J, she ends up doing something that bests anything he ever came up with. So it's like it's funny and it's brilliant all at the same time, and it probably would have worked too. So it's like it hits on all these different notes.
Who cares if it would have worked? That's not the point of the question. The point of the question was the funniest thing, and her just saying, "If it's like they're smiling, clever," and Batman just says, "Brilliant," and that's it. That's really the most of the joke. There's no really wild antics like in the scene that I had. It's just like, okay.
I personally think it's hilarious when a character like Harley Quinn, who's never been known to be in super criminal mastermindy, comes up with something that is unexpectedly brilliant. So it's funny because it's really good. It's like both.
Okay. Rohit, you call this one, buddy. Mr. Dar.
Lawyer.
All right.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh
there?
yeah.
All right. What I was gonna say is like Phil, I think made an interesting argument about the sort of expectedness of Harley coming up with a scheme that's funny, but I think in terms of the actual gag value, I think Lazerdude made a really strong effort in outlining sort of the extremity of the gag and just how Batman's just at his wits' end. So I think the point goes to Lazerdude.
All right, Lazerdude.
All right.
Like my personal choice was the kazoo.
I actually changed my mind, but I already said mine. I think the funniest is when those guys are hitting on her and Ivy, and she just brings out a bazooka and shoots their car. That's right, pigs. And here's the paddle, just like that.
Good. I don't know. I might have gone with the mermaid gag from Laughing Fish. I'm not sure.
You really like Laughing Fish.
Oh, I mean, I do. I'm just trying to think of one that's not.
Boss?
Well, honestly, it's the Lazerdude. I think I actually picked the best one with the Batmobile gag. But I mean, second to that, I'd probably go with the Laughing Fish. Like, you're real sick, you know that, boss. Hmm. All right, so this next round is going to be very important because if Lazerdude wins, he wins the game. But Phil's not out yet. But also, Jacob, was the word said?
No.
I don't think it's going to get said this game. That's a shame, but
Yeah, they did a good job avoiding the mines.
Yeah,
I could say the word just for fun if you want.
Well, you don't know what it is.
No, I mean you could tell me.
Ahead.
Well, then you still have to.
Nice try. Try to get him to tell you the word, then you know what to do to avoid it.
No, I was being serious. I would say it.
I mean, you can say a bunch of random words, and I could tell you if they're the words or not.
A bunch of random
Condiment
words.
King again. I swear.
Yep. Lazerdude said Condiment King.
No, we're serious, Lazerdude. You said condiment. That was the word.
You gotta be kidding me.
Oh,
You
man.
gotta be kidding me. You use the same word again?
Wow.
Oh man!
Are you serious?
man!
Hey,
I have never been more pissed off in my entire life than I am right now. You used a flip word. The word that you knew that I was the only one who was probably going to. This feels. I feel targeted. I feel
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you use reverse psychology to make the other guy win.
Oh god.
well, Dragon.
Okay, we have the coin. So let's.
I've never felt more of an urge to swear at somebody in my entire life.
Well, that'll teach you for keep bringing up the Condiment King thing.
I mean, you did have to say Condiment King.
Yep, literally, it's going to be a villain question, which I made
And
sure
heads.
Condiment
It's
King
not.
wouldn't be.
It's not tails.
Hasn't
not
flipped
tails,
yet.
so
Wait,
heads.
did someone hit the button?
It
Yeah, I
flipped.
did flip it.
Sorry,
Yeah.
flip.
It flipped. Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
Yeah.
all right.
It landed on heads.
It did.
It
Okay,
makes another
so-
half point.
Okay. Well, this one actually works out quite nicely. So,
Does it?
heads. So heads is Lazerdude has to give his opponent one of his points, which now means Phil has 4 and Lazerdude has 3.
Why did he have to do that for saying the word?
Yeah, that's the penalty. Yeah.
Oh, what was the
Oh
coin
my
flip?
gosh.
Well, I think you basically he lost the point, which then went to you. So that's
No,
that's,
no, I'm
that's
saying why did he do?
What would
so
tails
the
have
coin
been?
flip was that
Oh, you want to know? Well, tails would have been a lot worse. Tails would have been the. So basically, the next speed round that you win would be left up to the fate of the coin. So basically, if you
Ugh.
win for 2 rounds, you'd have to flip the coin to the side if you actually keep your point or not.
Oh man, that's
Pretty
rough.
bad.
At least it wouldn't have gone to my opponent.
Yeah, but it would have been. But everything you said could have possibly been moot, though.
Oh my gosh.
See, it could have been a lot worse. So yeah.
You have no one to blame but yourself.
All right, are we gonna need the coin any longer?
No.
You know, I
I'm never
wanna
gonna
say
make a
yes,
joke
just to
on
keep-
this channel again.
I want to say yes, just to screw with them, but no, we're not gonna need the coin. I'm not that much a monster.
He's not the condiment king.
Now you,
He said it.
Well, you can say the other. You can say it now, and you won't suffer another penalty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should I say what the other words are?
Fine.
You want to know what the other words are now or at the end of the game?
Wait. If you say them now, you can't use them for next time.
Well,
I feel like I should be immune from other words, but he shouldn't be.
Dragon, do you want to do
I had
that?
it happen against me.
Dragon, do you want to go with that?
you know what? Well, we already got rid of the coins. So I don't think we can do that.
I mean, I can flip. I'll flip a coin if that happens.
Well, no, we need to see it, Jacob. So I think it's just kind of,
Fine.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that is why God invented the restore tab button.
Well, restore the tab, Tiki, and we'll do that.
All right.
Okay, we'll put it in play again, but we'll take Condiment
Right.
King off the board, just to be fair.
I mean, to be fair,
Fine.
Lazerdude, you didn't have to say condiment.
All right, he gets it.
I know. I did it on my own accord. I was trying to be funny.
I know.
Oh, accord. That was the other word.
Are you not a deterrent?
Okay, so right now, just to recap all the hilarity. So Phil has 4 points. If he gets this next one, he wins.
I'm gonna come so hard.
Lazerdude's still, he's not out yet.
Oh my god.
All right. So Jacob, be on the lookout for the other one.
Okay, so from this point on, Lazerdude is exempt from any of the potential words. Phil Machi, watch your step.
Okay, so basically it's all on Phil now.
I'm going to continue sitting here, so no steps will be had.
All right. Okay, I'm going to use a question that was submitted by our buddy Connor Nielsen, who would have loved to be here, but he can't make it on
Connor.
Fridays.
Nice.
Connor Nielsen.
So I'm gonna have Gulliver judge this one. So Gulliver, pay special attention.
I'm ready.
Good man. I like that. Okay. So, a la the episode Showdown, which featured really starred Jonah Hex, the big Ra's al Ghul episode where he's kind of regaling us about the old, his adventure in the Old West with Jonah Hex. What DC character do you give a backdoor pilot to in Batman the Animated Series? Essentially, that Jonah Hex thing was practically like, hey, let's give Jonah Hex a show. So, aside from the original lineup of the Justice League, which he's had adventures with Batman. We've seen the other characters interact with Superman. So, with the exception of the Justice League and Aquaman, the original 7 essentially, and Aquaman, what DC character do you introduce and basically showcase in an episode of Batman the Animated Series, like Jonah Hex was? Okay, so Lazerdude, is that you?
Yeah, Dead Man.
Okay. Lazerdude says Dead Man. Okay.
Dead Man.
Yes. Phil.
I say the question.
Okay, the question.
Ooh.
Of course, both of these characters in Justice League, but we never saw how they, we never saw the original adventure with Batman, how they kind of were brought on to Justice League. So it's kind of fun.
2 interesting ideas.
Yeah, 2 great characters too. One Neil Adams, one Denny O'Neil. Kind of fun.
All right. You ready?
All right.
Deadman is a character that is perfect for a Batman animated series episode. It is a character who he's of the circus, so you could have Robin taking him there. Maybe he's part of the Haley or the circus that Robin was part of. You could have a mystery and solving Deadman's murder. We never saw how Batman and Deadman met in Justice League, so this could be the deep dive into finding somebody's murder who has been killed. That is a perspective that you've never seen before. Somebody who has been murdered, and they are trying to help Batman solve their murder, and that would just be such a perfect episode of the animated series.
So part of why the Jonah Hex episode is so great is Jonah Hex, I think, mirrors Batman in a lot of ways. He's a detective. He's figuring things out. And to me, the question always felt like a similar Batman-esque kind of character. I became a fan of him because of Justice League. And I think seeing a different kind of detective story with this even more of a 40s kind of vibe would be just such an amazing animated series. And that's the question.
The problem with the question is just going to be 2 detectives solving crimes. I mean, that feels a little bit redundant of the Great Ghost episode where you just have 2 detectives figuring it out. I feel like it doesn't offer anything new. Like, what's that difference between him doing it with the question, him doing something with Harvey Bullock, where him with Deadman solving his own murder is much better.
So Jonah Hex in that episode doesn't have any superpowers. Also, neither does the question. Deadman is an ethereal, supernatural character. It's a complete offshoot, and I like the detective aspect of Batman. That's a big reason why I got into the show in the first place.
All right, Gulliver, who gets the point?
Well, neither of you picked the Phantom Stranger, so I can't really, in good conscience, give it to either of you.
Well, we both lose a point and have to flip 5 points.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that's chaos rules, whatever.
Don't give Dragon any ideas.
Right? Yeah. So,
Hope you're writing this down.
both of your arguments are good. I like both of those characters just fine. However, Lazerdude badmouthed the Gray Ghost episode, and that's unforgivable. So I'm going.
Agreed.
And not. I just said
Agreed.
it would be the question episode would be like the Great Ghost episode. I said
Pull the lever,
the
Crank.
question episode would be redundant.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think he didn't badmouth the Gray. He just said it would be another Gray Ghost.
It'd be exactly the same. I said they already have the
sorry, I'm
perfect
going
one,
with
so
Phil.
why would they?
All right, now Gulliver it is based on other arguments, though, right?
I mean, maybe.
Okay.
I like Deadman. I like the question. I think thematically, question would fit better with the sort of vibe of that episode.
You totally would.
Deadman is great, but I think they didn't need more supernatural stuff.
Save
They
it
had
for
Etrigan in Batman the Animated Series. They had Etrigan. They can do Deadman. Yeah, your choice.
All right.
And
Well, that means Phil wins.
woo!
And with
Now-
that power, I shall rule the world.
Bum, bum, bum. Now, gentlemen, before we leave here, we do have a question submitted from the audience. I think we should do a little exhibition battle, not for points or anything, but do you want to do it for fun,
Sure.
Phil?
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool. So Z and K channel.
We actually kind of proposed this one as well.
Yeah, we had a different kind of a different slant on it, but essentially it's the same question. So Z and K channel in the comments says, Tiki.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Do this one?
Yes, when Batman the Animated Series Season 4, essentially the new Batman Adventures, got overhauled. There's a lot of controversial redesigns, the revamp and the angular redesigns that fit into the Superman the Animated Series style. Which character would you say had the best redesign? So which new Batman Adventures character
Scarecrow.
who was okay? So Lazerdude's got Scarecrow.
I mean, that's what I would have said also.
Yeah. Well, they beat you to it, Phil. So what do you got?
Oh, I was just agreeing. Okay. Let's go with Mad Hatter.
Okay, Mad Hatter. All right. So
Remember, you already won, so
nothing to lose.
actually nothing to lose this time.
Well, the best design is the Scarecrow, bar none, just because, in comparison, the Scarecrow never really looked scary in the first few seasons of Batman the Animated Series. Where in the redesign, he looks absolutely terrifying. He's lanky. He's weirdly crooked. He has this weird noose around his neck, which makes him look even more terrifying. It's just an entirely scary design. It's the first time in the animated series where Scarecrow looked actually scary, and that is the biggest improvement at any of the redesigns, period.
What's sad about that is it took them 3 redesigns before they got there. I have to say, I think it's got to be Mad Hatter, because the first version of him just looked like a doofus. This big, really tall guy with a giant hat. It wasn't scary at all. At least Scarecrow had a little bit of fear going for him. But they turned Mad Hatter into essentially what he looked like in the original book. And that is a creepy, short, almost leprechaun-esque kind of guy that's got shifty eyes. I mean, to me, that is very villainous.
I mean, even if it was, it's not like they ever really used it. He only ever I don't think he had an episode going forward after that. But it just looks like a guy that's dressed up for a Renaissance fair. It's not really all that different. It's not. Honestly, I prefer the other one. It was more colorful. It stood out more.
Well, this debate really wasn't about how many episodes did they get. It was about redesign. And on paper, I think that Mad Hatter looks pretty darn creepy and, again, more like the source material, which you can't go wrong with the original source material, folks. I've always kind of leaned towards that.
Well, fun fact. Technically, the Mad Hatter appeared. Well, no, if you want to, I don't know how technically you want to be here because Mad Hatter, we saw more, but between that and including the Superman the Animated Series nighttime episode, but we only saw a Scarecrow once. So,
Oh, no,
twice.
we
I'm
saw
sorry,
him in
twice.
Over
With
the
Over the
Edge,
Edge,
and
yes,
we
Over
had-
the Edge, and with Never Fear. That's what I meant. Yes. Yeah,
And
but still, one more time if you
that's
include
if you're
all
not
the
counting the
appearances.
video games, by the
Can
way.
we agree that the worst redesign was what they did with the Riddler?
Well, I think between the Riddler and the Joker, I mean, like the Riddler, yeah. Well, the Riddler was, yeah, you're right. The Riddler was terrible. Yeah, yeah.
I think the worst redesigns are the ones where they really didn't do very much different about them, where they just kind of smooth them out or whatever. It's like, well, then why bother doing it?
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I mean, like,
Well, at least
I'm
Two-Face
glad they
was
didn't mess with
consistent,
Harley
though.
Quinn.
Yeah.
Two-Face was a little angular from my.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. It was pretty much like Two-Face and
Oh,
Harley
I
Quinn.
should
It
have
was
said
pretty much.
Penguin actually.
Well, Penguin,
It
they
like-
made him looking like the original comics. I mean, I don't love it, but that's what they were going for.
Yeah. I wish the thing.
it.
I'm sorry, real quick before we actually decide who won the round. I always wish they addressed like he had surgery to make himself look different. Like he used his money that he got from the ill-gotten gains in the nightclub to make himself. If they called out the redesign, I think that would have made it better. But yeah,
I think,
give him
because then
fingers.
you have to call out everything. Like, why is Ivy green all of a sudden?
Well, that's an easy one though. So she injected herself with plant stuff, and she was possibly a plant clone at the end of that one
Well,
episode.
how did Mad Hatter lose like 3 feet?
Now,
He was
although that's a
called
that's a more fair point. I'm just saying with the Ivy thing. Okay,
Surgery.
so
Just use your headcanon and imagine Hush to exist in the Batman animated series and do surgery on all the villains.
our Z and K channel had a few notes there saying it. Maybe I should have added other than the Scarecrow to make it trickier and less obvious. Well, yeah, Z and K channel. Listen, you're going to call this round, buddy. So tell us who won the argument. While we do that, Phil, would you like to plug some stuff?
Actually, kind of, because you guys caught me at an interesting point. 3 days ago, I released a film on YouTube.
Huh? Another one?
Another film, 1 year after the documentary. This is not an animation-based film, but it's a mockumentary comedy that
Mockumentary.
Yeah, it's not mockumentary. Mockumentary.
Okay. So what's it about?
So it's about a guy that quit his job after 17 years to be a found object artist sculptor, and he's not good. So basically, the camera.
Is this
The
Hitler's
camera
story?
crew. What's that?
Is this Hitler's story? No, I'm kidding.
Oh, God.
I watched the right ones. So basically,
Well, I found this. It should work, Ava. I don't know why it's not.
basically the
Sorry.
film is about his camera crew following him around and talking to all the people in his life, and they all react to his decision to do this, and he tries to get into an art gallery. So it's a pretty fun comedy called Garage Dreams. It's on my YouTube channel, and it's free.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. Yes, we have a ruling. Scarecrow all the way, says Z and K channel. So Scarecrow won.
Yay.
Yep.
All right.
I can't argue with that because I would have chosen Scarecrow also.
I think there's an argument to be made though that like the redesign, he doesn't really look like a Scarecrow. He looks just more.
I was gonna be the argument I was gonna make if
looks like a
you
hangman.
got to Scarecrow first.
Yeah, he looks.
Yeah,
like
he looks like a hangman or a pastor that got hanged.
Or a zombie.
Yep.
Also, I was disappointed that we didn't really get a great Scarecrow episode after we got the redesign. Because, like, the episode that he's in, he's actually making people not afraid, which I think defeats the purpose of having a super scary Scarecrow. And then he's just in the beginning of Over the Edge, but he's not the main force throughout of it.
I think that is an interesting idea though, like to make people not afraid because like the whole
It's
thing,
cool.
like people just have no sense of aversion to risk. and thus he could
Yeah.
potentially kill more.
Well, no, that's the thing. If he's saying that, well, if that's the plan, why does he have to look scary? Because people aren't going to, I mean, it's a
I'm
great
just saying,
plan.
it's like you
It's
made a scarier version. Yeah, I don't have anything against the episode. It's just like you made a scarier version of Scarecrow, and you didn't give him an episode where he got to be scary in it.
yeah.
Well, they did use him in the Rise of Sin Tzu video game, I believe. So that was, they kind of gave him a
I
little
never
more.
played that one.
Yeah. Just one thing no one ever talks about with his other appearance in Over the Edge. I think Batman throws like his greatest punch ever. Like after Batgirl dies, he just like bam! Like he just punches like laughing Scarecrow in the face.
And the worst part about it is, it didn't happen.
Yeah,
Well,
it was all a fear-induced nightmare.
I mean, I know a lot of people when comparing to this are just like they should have did it similar to Chance to Dream or something like that. And you know what? I like for Chance to Dream, but I've always struggled with the fact of why didn't the Mad Hatter shoot Batman at any point during that episode? Like he has him under his mind control helmet for a long time, and he doesn't ever decide that maybe I should just kill him.
I can actually tell you the answer to that. It's all hubris. Like so many Batman villains, it's about knowing that they bested Batman with the thing that they are passionate about. So for him, he trapped
Yeah, but-
Batman in a dream. He's trapped.
Plus, there is a possible
but
thing of
that's not what he said. He said, I would given you any reality you wanted as long as you stayed out of mine. So
Right.
that's not really his motivation there. His motivation is just get Batman out of the way. And I don't really feel like beating Batman is a motivation for the Mad Hatter. It's all about controlling people to do what they want.
Potato. I mean, I think that's the same thing.
I mean, I'd argue if you
To each their own.
take into
The
its
debate's over.
Yeah, okay, real quick before we wrap up here, I would throw in there taken to its most lethal degree. Mad Hatter's like revenge on Batman would be, I'm going to give you the fantasy you denied me, and you're just going to sit there until you starve and die, thinking everything's great.
I mean, that's arguably more horrible fate than just shooting somebody.
Yeah. So regardless, I mean, he
I
would
feel it's done
die.
better
So.
with Mongol and the
For the man who was
Justice League
everything in
episode.
Justice League Unlimited,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. But anyways, I got to get going.
Yep.
It was great playing with you guys. Congratulations to you. It was I still blame the coin for my loss, but good on you for winning.
Lazerdude, you put up a valiant fight, and I bow to you in your efforts this evening.
The coin has bitten more than one of us before. Don't worry about it, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Lazerdude. Condiment King.
What?
Well, that's just adding insult to injury.
Lazerdude is officially Kite Man from the Harley Quinn show.
Lazerdude, what's with that stain on your shirt? No, that's from Harley Quinn, so everything spits like a little thing on his shirt. Anyway.
All right, guys, can we wrap up?
Yes. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in again. Congratulations to Batman the Animated Series for the milestone. It was great having you all here, and see you next debate next month. Bye-bye.
Condiment King.